Hi, Dave Caudle here with another top tip for your career. Well, actually, I've got several top tips for your career today, and it's particularly appropriate actually because at this time when there's the coronavirus about, a lot of us are working very different work patterns. Some people have already had their jobs laid off because of it. So these are worrying and stressful times for people. And what I wanted to share with you today was 7 really good tips to help you manage stress levels, to help you keep calm. And obviously they'll be useful to you now as we go through what is quite a stressful period, but also they'll be useful to you as you manage your career on an ongoing basis when we get through this crisis that we're in at the moment, this pandemic, and we move forward with our careers and our lives. And the world may look quite different, and one of the things I've done, just as a little aside, to help you through this, and I plan to continue it afterwards, but really to help you manage your career through this period of uncertainty and whatever's happening right now, to be prepared to make the most of your life and create a future that you want as we move beyond the pandemic. I've created a Facebook group called The Career Cafe, and I'll put a link on it in the description for the blog that this video goes with, and if you're looking at this on YouTube, you'll find it in the description there too. The Career Cafe is designed as a place where you can come and hang out virtually with your coffee or without, and get answers about your career and pose the things that you're concerned about your career at the time that you're engaging with it. Get answers from me, from other career professionals and other experts that I can bring in from time to time. Anyway, that's a little aside. I've got my list of 7 strategies to help you manage your stress levels and to stay calm during your career. So I've got my piece of paper here, just to make sure that I don't miss anything out. So my first strategy is about just being in the moment. It's about stopping and noticing what you can see, what you can hear, and what you can feel. Now, notice when you're looking at what you can see, how the light's falling on things. What are the different objects you can see? What about the things in your peripheral vision? With sounds, what can you hear outside of the room? What can you hear in the room? Can you hear the sound of your own breathing? It's a really nice strategy to just calm you down. And I often find when I do this, that when I get really in the moment, I just notice that I'm smiling, because in that moment, whatever else is going on in my life, everything is perfect. So it's a really useful strategy to help you, and you can do it in a minute. You can take 5 minutes to do it. And it's an interesting one to take 5 minutes for, and try and do that daily for a week or two, and just notice the difference it makes to your general feeling of positivity and well-being. So strategy 2 is what I call deep breathing, not in a odd way on a telephone or something like that. This deep breathing is about calming yourself down. So you take a nice deep breath in, and then you hold it for a count of maybe 4 or 5. And then just slowly let that breath go out again. And do that 2 or 3 times, a really deep breath in, then a really nice long slow release of that breath. And notice the feeling of the air as it enters and it leaves your body. And by slowing yourself down physically, it slows down the mental chatter, especially as you're focusing on your breathing and you're stopping your mind from wandering. It's a really nice strategy, and it's something that you can do for a longer period, that focused breathing. But if you're going to do that, then my suggestion would be, so you don't sort of over oxygenate yourself, just start with those 3 long deep breaths. Hold them, let it out slowly. And then once you've done 3, just let your breathing return to its normal rhythm and depth, and just focus on the feeling of the air entering and leaving your body. It's a really nice one to keep calm with. Okay, strategy 3. I call this different perspective. And there are different ways to take that different perspective. But you know what it's like when you're feeling kind of stressed and anxious. It's like you can't see the wood from the trees. And you need to sometimes sort of step back to take a bit of perspective and realise things are not quite as bad as they may seem. So the first, I've got 4 of these actually. So these are 4 little sub-strategies for you. First one is, I call it the rocking chair exercise. Imagine you're 80 years old and you're sitting on a veranda somewhere in your rocking chair. Life is good. And you're looking back at this time when things maybe weren't so good. What advice would you give to your younger self back now? What advice to remain calm and to move through this period into those better times? The second strategy is just to take a little step forward, maybe 6 months, and just ask yourself, in 6 months' time, will this really matter, the thing that you're feeling stressed about? Imagine that time in 6 months when you've moved beyond this current stress into times that are calmer and better and more prosperous for you. Now, the next one is a really simple thing. A lot of people I work with just find having this phrase, "this too will pass," in their mind helps them to just remember that whatever they're feeling now is a temporary thing and it will pass. So it's just a nice phrase to have in your mind to remind yourself to stay calm and to move through. The final way I've got of getting perspective is just to imagine yourself floating up above the world. So floating up above yourself and your current situation, higher and higher and higher, until you're right up high in the atmosphere and looking back down at the earth. And just having that physically different perspective is really calming for a lot of people, because it does put things into perspective and makes them realise that it's not such a big global deal as it feels like to them right now in the moment. So that floating high is a really nice thing. And you might like to look out on YouTube for Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot video. It's only about 3 or 4 minutes long, but that takes that whole global perspective a lot further. And he takes us out into space where the Earth is really just a pale blue dot. And he points out that everything that's ever lived, every war, every love scene, everything that's ever happened in the human race has happened on that tiny blue dot in space. It's a nice perspective. It's worth just looking just for the video, to be honest. Right, strategy 5. Smile. Just smile. Stand up, put your shoulders back, smile. It puts a different energy into you and it helps you to feel happier and calmer. So strategy 6 is to take a hike. So go out, get up, go for a walk around the office. If you're at home, go for a walk around the house. And just changing your physiology and where you are will change your energy and help you feel calmer and more positive. You know what it's like when you see someone who's stressed out, they're sitting there hunched over their desk, they might have their head in their hands, scratching their head, might have a frown on their face. Just getting up, moving around, take a walk around the office. If you're working from home, take a walk around the house. Maybe just step outside the door and get a bit of fresh air. It's a really nice strategy. Right, strategy 7, take a lunch break. Now, a lot of people work in environments where it's almost considered poor form to take a lunch break. Well, I'm saying to you, it's really good form. So make sure that you take a lunch break. Take half an hour, take 45 minutes if you can. Get up, leave the office, go and sit in a coffee shop, walk through the park. But whatever you do, take a lunch, do something different. It's especially important if you're working at home, because it's very easy to just sit at your desk all day. So make sure you do that. So have a go at all those strategies, find your favourite one, and also pop into the Career Cafe and let me know, what's your favourite strategy? Have you got a different strategy? It would be great to hear about that.